Hey, what's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here from Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne on site, on location for this edition of Superpowered Pop. You know that Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne is our exclusive studio partner of Superpowered Pop. And every year I have the blessing and the privilege and the opportunity over these last few years, and hopefully for many to come, to be here on site, on location, and taking our studio partner and then physically being in their store on 21500 Catawba Ave, Suite A, in Cornelius, North Carolina, right down the road from Charlotte, North Carolina, one of the fastest growing cities in America. You can see I'm wearing my PBKW, and I got to give a shout out to owner Matt Milburn, who not only makes these amazing shirts, but he does it going back to album covers and kind of, just utilizing that and making cool parallels. So Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne, we appreciate you. Open 7 days a week. And of course, you can see I got my Doom hat on. The back of the hat I love just as much as the front of the hat there. You see it says no rivals. So today we're going to talk about Avengers Doomsday and some thoughts that I have going into Secret Wars and Battle World and all this stuff. So I gotta use my guy here. So I have Galactus, and this is the only moment where I'm gonna be taller than Galactus. So he's like a baby right now in my arms, but who dares defy Galactus? I mean, I guess the Fantastic Four. I like that I got this, and he's very limber here, so he can kind of give you like a what's up. So we're gonna be hanging out here with Galactus, and of course we're here at Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne. So it's time for us to discuss this Avengers world that we are in. We're heading toward Doomsday. It's at the end of this year, and I'm really excited about the opportunity that this is going to bring to us. But it made me think of the topic for today's Superpowered Pop episode. And of course, you can find us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Superpowered Pop. And of course, you can go to YouTube, where a lot of you are watching right now, youtube.com/at Superpowered Pop. And that's Superpowered, P-O-W-E-R-E-D, Superpowered Pop. So it's like super powering up something, right? Superpowered Pop. So make sure you check us out. Thank you so much. You can also go to wakeupcalldt.com and go to the tab Beyond Wake Up Call, and you can find Superpowered Pop there with Do Diz with Dan, with Comic Book Trails, and with Two Mics No Filter, the other shows we do in the greater Dan Tortora broadcast media family. Today's show topic is on the road to where we're heading here in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as we are looking for the clock to tick toward Doomsday, and I say the clock ticking toward Doomsday because in all of those features that we've seen so far, we see the Avenger logo and the green color for Doom, and of course you hear that clock ticking, and you see the clock ticking down to December 2026 when this movie is coming out. So it made me think about, like I said, the topic for today's show, which is if we're going to be talking about Incursions, which was first said in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, being played by John Krasinski, which was a fan favorite to play the role before we saw our official Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four First Steps movie, which just came out here recently. So we've seen a couple different Mr. Fantastics, right? Johan Griffith, who's been on Superpowered Pop, and you can go back and watch my interview with him on Facebook as well as X and Instagram at Superpowered Pop, and right here on YouTube by checking out at Superpowered Pop here on our YouTube channel. You can see my conversation with Johan Griffith. And of course, most recently, Pedro Pascal playing the role of Reed Richards. When John Krasinski was playing Mr. Fantastic, and the first time we saw Mr. Fantastic in the MCU, because keep in mind, Johan Griffith was when Fox was 20th Century Fox, not owned by Marvel, was making those two Fantastic Four movies, Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. When we meet John Krasinski's Reed Richards, he talks about Incursions, and he talks about, one world colliding with another, where either one survives or neither survives. And I've been thinking about the movies, and I've been thinking about the overcomplication of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, what could cause incursions? in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Doctor Strange in what he did in the Multiverse of Madness. Scarlet Witch in what she did to rip through realities and dreamwalk into other versions of her from other universes using the Darkhold. So I look at all that. I look at what happened in the Marvels with the rift between universes, and we see Photon go into the X-Men universe. I look at what happened with Doctor Strange in Spider-Man No Way Home, where we were ripping through the multiverse. I look at Thanos and the snap when he used the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet and the ripple effect of all of that, which was talked about by Rocket Raccoon in Avengers Endgame, that pulse, right, was kind of felt throughout. So I'm thinking about all these potential incursions. I'm thinking about what Deadpool did in Deadpool 2 when he took Cable's time-traveling device and went to a bunch of different pieces of the multiverse, killed Ryan Reynolds when he was about to accept the role of Green Lantern, so, jokingly killed himself, and then, saved his girlfriend, who is played by Morena Baccarin. So as I'm kind of breaking this down in my head, I'm going America Ferrera and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man No More, the Marvels and Photon going into the X-Men universe, the snap by Thanos, all of the Deadpool and what he did. All of these things can cause potential incursion, and then Scarlet Witch. So have we not overcomplicated the universe of who caused these incursions? Or did everybody do this? Or did, what happened with killing the version of Kang at the end of time by Lady Loki? Did that happening cause another incursion with the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, and with Loki now being the one that's holding this tree of timelines together and holding the multiverse together? Is that another one? So, I guess what I'm saying is, on the road to Avengers Doomsday, who's causing the incursion? Is it everybody? Is it one of them? Are we going to see these play out in different movies? Are they all colliding together? Are these multiple universes colliding? Wherever Galactus was sent to in the Fantastic Four First Steps, with them traveling through, did they cause another incursion with that Fantastic Four group? Who's responsible for Doomsday and for Secret Wars? That's my question in this video, and we're not going to find out until we watch Doomsday. But to the Marvel fan that's been going and seeing these movies, are we living in so many things happened that it's become very difficult to understand? Because if it was just Lady Loki killing Kang, and that's the incursion, okay. If it was just the Fantastic Four dealing with Galactus, if it was just Photon going into the X-Men universe, if it was just the rift that was caused in Spider-Man No More, if it was just dreamwalking and everything Scarlet Witch did, if it was just Doctor Strange and America in the Multiverse of Madness, aka Doctor Strange 2, then we could look at this and say, this is who's responsible for the incursion. This is why Doom is here. This is why we're going towards Secret Wars. And then my other question is, what two worlds are going to collide? Because 616 and 838 in the comics, right? Those are the ones we know about. The Ultimate Universe and our regular universe. And then you go to the MCU and you say, well, the MCU stated that they're the Marvel Universe 616. So if they're 616, that doesn't really make sense. Because in the comic books, 616 had the X-Men, had Deadpool, had Spider-Man, had all the Spider-Verse, had the Avengers, had the Fantastic Four, had Galactus, had Silver Surfer, and so on and so forth. So by stating that the MCU that we've been watching for over a decade with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Chris Evans, Captain America, and all that, that's 616, that doesn't really make sense because the MCU is not the traditional 616. They couldn't be because of things that you can't really describe in the movies, which is the fact that Disney didn't own the rights to The Incredible Hulk, which now they have the rights back, and they didn't own the rights to Daredevil, which now they have the rights back, and they didn't own the rights to Punisher, which now they have the rights back, and they didn't have the rights to X-Men and the Fantastic Four and, you know, these otherworldly galactic beings like Galactus and the Silver Surfer, but now they do because they bought them, and they bought the X-Men, and they bought Deadpool, and so it really never was. The MCU was never 616, but because they've called it 616, maybe that's a bait and switch. Is that Kevin Feige saying, we want you to think this is, and it's not, and we're going to throw you for a loop, and the Robert Downey Jr. that we built this entire MCU on was never Iron Man, or this was never the original, and Doom was always Robert Downey Jr. Like, what are they going to show us in this movie? This is where all the confusion comes in. Am I happy that Robert Downey Jr. is back? 150%. Am I happy that Doom is coming? 150%. This is one of my favorite hats. I wear it all the time. And like I said, having no rivals on the back, that's how I feel. I only compete with myself every day. I don't compete with anybody else. My job is to be better than I was yesterday, not to be better than anybody else. That's how I live my life. So I have no rivals except for me. And so I'm excited for Doom. I'm excited for Robert Downey Jr. And then the other incursion is, when they used the stones to bring everybody back, did that form another rift in the multiverse? So Thanos' snap forms a rift, and then going and getting the stones in the time heist and bringing everybody back from the soul world, that's essential. That came from the snap. Everybody that died before the snap, they couldn't bring back, but hence why we couldn't bring back Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. But the snap, right, that happens, that could cause an incursion, that could cause a rift in the multiverse. And then when they went back in the time heist to get the stones and bring everybody back, what's to say that that didn't cause another rift that formed an incursion? And then what's to say that when Captain America returned the stones and then decided to go and live out his life with Peggy Carter and to actually have a life with her, that he didn't cause another incursion and another rift? So, or a rift that became an incursion. So that's another thing that muddies the water even more. Is it Cap's fault? Is it Spider-Man's fault? Is it Doctor Strange's fault? Is it Scarlet Witch's fault? Is it the Fantastic Four's fault? Is it the Marvel's fault? You know, that movie and what happened there. I mean, these are the questions. And how are they going to answer these questions? So we have this very polluted water of, if we're supposed to believe in rifts in the multiverse, and we're supposed to jump into this multiverse saga and really believe it and understand it, and we're supposed to understand what an incursion is and what's leading us to Secret Wars, who is responsible? Or is everyone responsible? And if everyone is responsible and they're coming from different universes, which ones collide first? Is it going to be 838 and 616? Or is it going to be 616 and the X-Men universe? Because what I think Marvel might be doing, Disney may be doing with Marvel Studios, is that they're going to have the MCU we know, which is Earth 616, collide with the X-Men universe that Photon fell into in that post-credit scene, and that we're going to find out that X-Men universe that we see Hank McCoy in, and that we hear him talk about Charles Xavier, I feel like either that universe is 838, where we saw, because keep in mind that 838, when we first heard about incursions happening from the Reed Richards played by John Krasinski, when we first heard the word incursion in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it came in Earth 838. which stated that we for sure were designated as Earth 616. So are we going to have 838 collide with 616? And did Photon fall into 838, which is where the X-Men TV series is from, which is why they brought back that X-Men animated series, which is now X-Men 97. So is there a reason why Disney Plus chose to bring back the X-Men animated series? Is there a reason why the Charles Xavier of 838 was floating in the yellow chair that we saw in that animated series? And if that's 838, are they taking the most recognized comic book Earths of 616 and 838 and having them collide in what's going to be Doomsday leading into Secret Wars? Is all of this going to play to the comics? And even though it's not 100% accurate with the comics, is this what we're doing? Is it essentially going to be 838 versus 616? And are they going to make 838 the X-Men universe? And is this whole incursion and collision going to give us Battle World, which is finally going to bring all the characters together that should have been together all along, that were together in the comics but weren't together in the movies and the TV shows because of legality? Is this Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios and Disney's way of making right the comics by finally bringing it to the big screen, which they couldn't do before because they didn't own the rights to it? You can't tell the story from comic to screen if you don't own the rights to the characters. Now that you own the rights to the Hulk, now that you have brought in the Red Hulk, and we've already seen Green Hulk, now that you have those, and you have the Punisher, and you have Daredevil, and we've seen Daredevil in Spider-Man's universe, and we have seen in Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe, and we've seen the Punishers coming into Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe, and Tom Holland is in 616. Is this whole thing to just right the ship? Now, they can't fully right it because they don't own the rights to the Spider-Verse and the 900 or 1,000 characters that aren't named Spider-Man or a different version of Peter Parker. Even though Marvel doesn't own that, they own everything else. So is this whole Doomsday Secret Wars so that Marvel can now tell the full-on story and they can now have an excuse that they can use via the Incursion as to why we never knew the X-Men, as to why mutants were never here in Earth 616? And is this entire Doomsday and Secret Wars run with Avengers 5 and 6, respectively, all meant to bring us into the mutant saga to dedicate Marvel into leaning on the mutants to try and carry them through the next decade or however long? That's the question. So, who's the Incursion on? Is the X-Men animated series connected to where Photon went in the Marvels movie, connected to the X-Men that we know? Is this 838 versus 616? And if it is, what is this going to look like? And are we going to kill off characters, or is this going to right the ship? Is Chris Evans feeling bad about the decision he made personally, living his entire life to help everyone but himself, and then he finally decides to do something for himself, and it turns into a rift in the multiverse, which turns into an incursion, which brings back our original Captain America? Is this how we get him back? And who is Robert Downey Jr.? Is it smoke and mirrors? Was he always Doom? Was he always Iron Man? Which one is he for real? Are we seeing him as Doom going to change everything that we've known for a decade and make us dislike the character we thought we knew? Or is this Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man looking into the future, and just as he figured out time travel, when he figured out time travel in Endgame, did he go and travel through time by himself before they did the time heist? And is he becoming Doom? Did he kill Doom so that he could assume the role of Doom? Is Robert Downey Jr. actually Dr. Doom? Or is he playing Dr. Doom in order to cure an evil that he already saw by traveling to the future? There's a million questions. And if this video and everything I said confused you, I didn't mean to, but it's confusing And there's a lot of things on my mind in working through this. I can't wait for the Avengers. I can't wait to see Doctor Doom. I can't wait to see the return of Robert Downey Jr. because I love watching him. But what I want to know is, where are we going? Why are we going that direction? And who is responsible? You got this world of magic. You've got this world now with the devil and what I've talked about in the past, which are the Midnight Suns. And I've been talking about the Midnight Suns and the Marvel Knights for years. I see it coming up from people now, and I'm like, I've been talking about this for years. That the Netflix series coming to Disney Plus, and if they bring back Ghost Rider and they do a few things, there's already a story that's just waiting to be written. If we have this mystical realm, and we have this heaven and hell realm, because we have the soul world and Valhalla, and we already know that Mephisto exists, who's the devil in Marvel. So we have heaven and hell, we have good and evil, right? We have the mystical realm. We have the earth-based heroes. We have space and the Eternals and the Celestials and Galactus and Thanos and so on and so forth. And then we have everything in between. So how are we going to tell the story? How are we going to right the ship? And is this all Marvel's plan to smash everything together so that they can focus on the mutants? Give me your thoughts in the comments. This has been another edition of Superpowered Pop, on site, on location, at our studio partner, who's with us every episode of Superpowered Pop, and that's Parker, Banner, Kent, and Wayne. My comic book and gaming place of choice. I played the Pandemic game here for the first time ever, played one of their card games here. I had a great time using their awesome gaming space, which has so many of you here for Disney Lorcana, for Magic the Gathering, for Pokemon, for Pandemic, for all of the things that you do here, as well as everything you buy, vintage comics, new comics. It is the marriage of the things that we love that help to keep us big kids all the time. Thanks to Parker, Banner, Kent, and Wayne, all of them here. Parker for Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Banner for Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk, Kent for Clark Kent, Superman, and Wayne for Bruce Wayne, Batman, marrying all of it together, converging worlds, and having a topic today about worlds converging, colliding, and what's going to happen. Doomsday is on its way, and will our questions from this video and other questions you have be answered? Leave your questions and your comments here on this video, and thanks for being with us. Find us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Superpowered Pop. Find us on wakeupcalldt.com by clicking the tab Beyond Wake Up Call, and find us here on YouTube at Superpowered Pop. For now, from normal size me and smaller size Galactus, we say to remember that your true hero lies within. Thanks to Matt Milburn and his team for making the world of comics come to life every single day of the week. God bless you all. We'll talk soon. Take care.